Welcome everyone to English Today Journey. I am happy you are here. If you want to improve your English every day, remember to subscribe and stay with us rather than passive. At this level, you should also begin noticing small cultural cues. English speakers often use indirect language. For instance, if someone says, "It's kind of chilly, isn't it?" they might be politely suggesting that someone close the window. Understanding these hints is part of listening. Watch interviews, talk shows, or real conversations and pay attention not only to the words but also to the speaker's body language, facial expressions, and tone. These small signals give extra meaning to what is being said, and noticing them will make your understanding of English more natural and complete. Reaching C1 means understanding language in context, not just translating words. By practicing these strategies, tracking your listening, thinking in English, imagining situations, and noticing cultural cues, you will build listening skills that go beyond textbooks. Over time, English will start to feel natural, and your brain will recognize patterns, emotions, and meaning quickly. Step by step, your ear will tune in, your comprehension will deepen, and listening will feel less like work and more like a real part of life. As you practice, you will start to understand meaning beyond grammar. Listening at a high level is not just about knowing words or rules. It is about noticing tone, stress, rhythm, context, and even small hints from the speaker. Many learners ask, how long will it take to reach C1? There is no exact answer, because it depends on how much you listen, how varied your materials are, and how deeply you focus. Everyone learns differently. However, one thing is certain. If you listen at least 1 hour a day with real attention, you can expect visible improvement in 6 to 9 months. Keep in mind that quality is more important than quantity. 10 minutes of focused listening is often better than an hour of distracted listening. Always pay attention to what you hear, not just let it play in the background. A helpful tip is to mix listening with speaking. After listening to a video, podcast, or story, try to talk about it out loud, even if no one is around. Summarize what you heard in your own words. Say sentences like, "The speaker talked about," or "I learned that." Speaking forces your brain to retrieve information, which strengthens memory. It also helps you notice how native speakers organize their ideas, so you can copy that structure when you speak. This combination of listening and speaking builds real communication skills. Another strategy is to find a listening buddy. This can be a friend who is also learning English. Choose the same video or podcast episode. Listen separately, then meet online or in person to discuss it in English. Talking about what you heard helps you remember more, and it gives you practice in both listening and speaking at the same time. At C1 level, you should also learn to notice stress and intonation patterns. In English, some words in a sentence carry more weight than others. For example, "I did tell you" emphasizes the word did. Rising intonation at the end of a sentence often signals a question, while falling intonation can show surprise or certainty. These small musical signals completely change the meaning of what is being said. They are like the hidden grammar of spoken English. You may also notice fillers such as "you know," "I mean," "like," or "sort of." At first, they seem unnecessary, but they are part of real English rhythm. They show when a speaker is pausing, thinking, or connecting ideas. Recognizing these fillers will help you keep up with fast speech and sound more natural when you speak. By combining all these strategies, focused listening, active speaking, noticing stress, tone, and fillers, and discussing with others, you train your brain to process English naturally. Over time, your ear becomes sharper, your memory stronger, and your understanding deeper. English stops feeling foreign and starts feeling like a living, usable language. With patience, practice, and attention to detail, you can reach the C1 level and enjoy the confidence of understanding real, natural English in daily life. Finally, it's important to rest your brain. Listening, especially at a high level, takes a lot of mental energy. If you push too long, your focus drops and your brain stops absorbing information. You may start zoning out without realizing it. A helpful method is the Pomodoro technique. Listen deeply for 25 minutes, then take a 5-minute break. During breaks, try to avoid screens. Let your mind relax and wander. This rest actually helps your memory work better. It may feel like doing nothing, but your brain is processing everything in the background. As you get more comfortable with listening, you will notice something interesting. You begin to hear patterns and rhythms in English that you didn't notice before. English is not just random words. It has a flow, a natural music with its own rules. Every language has this rhythm, and catching it is a key step toward fluency. Many learners miss this stage because they rush. They focus too much on grammar, vocabulary lists, or trying to force results. Listening is like learning music. It takes time, patience, and curiosity. Those who stay consistent and interested are the ones who see real progress. Let's look at what happens inside your brain when you listen. At first, your mind has to work very hard to process sounds, words, and meaning all at the same time. It's like juggling 3 balls: the sounds, the forms, and the sense. This is why early listening feels exhausting. But as you practice, your brain starts to automate parts of the process. Sounds become familiar, words are recognized faster, and your attention can move naturally to the meaning behind what is said. Real comprehension doesn't come from memorizing vocabulary lists or grammar rules. It comes from repeated, real contact with the language, hearing it, noticing it, and gradually understanding it. One of the most powerful tools for improving listening is curiosity. Instead of judging yourself when you don't understand, ask questions. Why did the speaker pause here? Why did they use this tone? What feeling are they trying to show? This approach changes your attitude. Fear makes you tense and slows learning, while curiosity opens your brain and makes you alert. When you become curious about how people speak, you start to hear details that others might miss. You notice intonation, stress, rhythm, and emotion. These are the hidden signals that carry meaning beyond the words themselves. Listening at this level is more than just hearing sounds. It is actively noticing, imagining, and understanding. When you practice with patience, curiosity, and proper breaks, your ear becomes sharper, your brain faster, and your understanding deeper. English stops being a puzzle of separate words and becomes a living language that flows naturally. Step by step, your brain learns to process English automatically. You stop translating everything in your head. You start following conversations, catching humor, tone, and subtle meanings without effort. By combining rest, curiosity, rhythm awareness, and consistent practice, you train your mind to understand English as it really is in daily life. This is the stage where listening starts to feel effortless, and your journey towards C1 really begins. Patience, interest, and steady practice are the keys. Every focus session, every question you ask yourself, and every small pattern you notice builds the foundation of true fluency. As your listening improves, you begin to notice small details you didn't hear before. At this stage, it becomes very important to create a focused listening environment. Many learners try to multitask while listening. They open multiple tabs on the computer, check their phones, or reply to messages. This kind of listening does very little for your brain. When you listen, try to listen like you are sitting across from the speaker, having a real conversation. Give the language your full attention, even if it is only for 5 minutes. Make those minutes deep and meaningful. Imagine that someone is talking directly to you. This mental connection helps your brain remember not just the words, but also the tone, expression, and emotion behind them. Deep listening creates understanding that passive. Distracted listening can never reach. Another effective exercise is listening with focus on one element at a time. For example, on one day, you could focus only on verbs. Notice how they are used, how they change, and how quickly they are pronounced. Another day, focus on intonation, where the speaker's voice rises or falls. Another day, listen carefully to connector words like so, but, or actually. This kind of focused repetition trains your ear to hear different layers of speech, similar to how a musician learns to pick out each instrument in a song. The more you do it, the easier it becomes to notice patterns naturally in real conversations. Since we are talking about music, rhythm is another powerful tool. English is a stress-timed language, which means some syllables are strong while others are weak. When you learn to recognize which syllables are stressed, you can often predict the meaning or direction of a sentence, even if you miss a few words. A fun exercise is to clap along with sentences or repeat them with the rhythm of the speaker. It may feel a little silly, but this trains your brain to feel the timing of English, which makes understanding faster and more automatic. Another important factor is accent exposure. Many learners focus only on American or British English. While these are common, real English is spoken all over the world. You will hear English from speakers in India, Nigeria, Singapore, the Philippines, and many other countries. Each accent has its own unique rhythm and pronunciation. The more accents you listen to, the more flexible your ear becomes. You start recognizing English patterns in different ways of speaking. This prepares you for real-life situations where people don't sound exactly like textbook English. By combining focused listening, rhythm exercises, and accent variety, your listening skills grow in a rich, natural way. Your brain begins to separate sounds, meaning, and emotion all at once. You start understanding the music of English, not just the words. Small daily practices, even just a few minutes, add up. Over time, you notice that comprehension becomes easier. You catch jokes, tone, and subtle expressions, and English begins to feel like a real, living language rather than a subject you study. Listening like this trains both your ear and your brain, laying a strong foundation for fluent, confident understanding. As you listen to English more, your ear becomes more adaptable. Real C1 learners don't panic when they hear a new accent. Instead, they stay calm, notice the patterns, and focus on the message. This skill comes from practice. One way to start is by listening to the same story or news from different sources. For example, you could watch a news report on BBC, CNN, and Al Jazeera English. The topic is the same, but the speakers and accent are different. Since you already understand the topic, your brain can concentrate on how the sounds and words differ. After you get used to this, try podcasts, interviews, or videos from other countries. Over time, accents won't be confusing anymore. They become interesting and even fun to listen to. Of course, some days you just won't feel like listening. Your mind might feel tired, and your ears might not want more English. On these days, it's okay to do light listening. You don't have to study hard or focus intensely. Just let English play in the background while you relax or do something simple. Even if you don't understand everything, your brain stays connected to the sounds and you maintain the rhythm of learning. Missing a day is fine, but skipping a whole week can break your routine. The key is to keep the chain alive, even with small steps. At C1 level, you'll also begin to notice changes in the speaker's speed. Native speakers don't talk at one fixed speed. Sometimes they speak fast, then slow down to emphasize something important. For example, someone might say, "It was really hard." Really hard. The pause and repetition show emotion or stress. Learning to notice these shifts helps you understand meaning beyond words. You can practice this by listening to emotional speeches, movie scenes, or dramatic clips. Focus only on tone, pauses, and rhythm. See how the speaker's feelings and intentions change what is being said. Another useful exercise is silent summarizing. After listening to a few sentences, pause and ask yourself, what did they just say? Try to summarize it in your mind. This forces your brain to process information actively instead of letting it slip by. At first, this can feel tiring because you are training your brain to focus harder than before. But over time,